Okay, let's move on to the Mares Novice Hurdle on the Thursday. Lucia for Nikki Henderson is 13-8. Again, has looked very good in both her starts and over hurdles this season. Ashrow Diamond 10-3. Lot of Joy 7-1. Magical Zoe, You Wear It Well, and Alka Tuber 10-1. Princess Zoe 12-1, 14-1 bar. Mark, Lucia, have you been impressed? And is she going to just romp home here?
I've been impressed, but 6-4 in a big field, I'm not sure I can take that. It's too short because she's been winning very small field races in the UK against rivals that are nowhere near the class she's going to take on in this race, and she's 6-4. I think out of the two, I would take Ashrow Diamond, but for me, I'm going to go with Lot of Joy each way because she's used to these big field handicaps on the flat, and she's run really well in them, and she's not going to feel out of place in one of these because it's going to be like helter skelter. And a lot of these horses are running in small field races. Like Lucia's been, running in 4 or 5 runner races. I know she's looked really special, and you've got to take heed when Henderson says how good she is, and Nico's wanting to go to the Supreme and things like that. But for me, Lot of Joy's pretty solid. I know her form's not that great. I mean, Princess Zoe's been very overlooked for a Grade 1 flat horse. It's pretty strange that she's so big. And the trainer was on the Paddy Power podcast saying that he didn't have her 100% for her first hurdle start. So she could be one that could contract. But I'd take Lot of Joy each way in this race.
Brilliant. Callum, Lucia's obviously a short price. We've been here before with Epiton, who probably was the best horse coming out of that race, went on to win a champion hurdle. I don't think there's any doubt that Lucia is the most talented here, but short price favourites in the past couple of years we've been burned.
Yeah, they're 0 for 4, and Henderson's 0 for 13 in this race. I think 64 is an awful price. Even if you think she can hack up, what could go wrong? And, Lucia's backstory is quite, she died in the gallops, and she has a setback this season as well. She's not the most robust, and if she makes a mistake and her chance is gone, they're not going to rush her to get back into this race. They will be mindful of the future with her. And I think that's worth considering in a race that can go wrong, pretty quickly and pretty easily for a lot of these inexperienced caught out Epitonic, caught out Dino Blue. I think Lucia's probably better. Better kind of prep for this slightly, but she hasn't beaten much, and I think the price is, and you've got so many horses here that are running for you from the Irish ranks as well. The one I really like, and I'm on the fairy tale story here, is Magical Zoe. I think Henry de Bromhead's laid this horse out from November. As soon as he realised that this race was going to be named after his late son Jack, he's going to throw so many darts at it. Foxy Girl's another to consider. I think they're going to be absolutely fully tuned. Magical Zoe came through really late, only won by a length at Gowran Park, but she won well on top of the line. Her bumper forms worked out excellently. Her run style is exactly the same as Tell Me Something Girl. You need to stay in this race, coming from the back, slicing through them. And I think between 2nd and 7th, there's been subsequent handicap Grade 3 listed winners since. Just slowly tip away at 10-1. She's had positive mentions here and there. And yeah, I think there might be a wee brilliant story here on Thursday with Magical Zoe.
Yeah, I think we would all like to see Henry de Bromhead win this. Craig, what is your thoughts on the Mares Novice? Are you with Lucia? Are you taking her on?
I've got to take her on at price. Everything comes down to price, and she's too short at 6-4. And Callum touched on a couple of negative stats in terms of Nikki Henderson. I'm going to throw another one in. That is negative. The British bred horses have got a poor record here, and this year falls into that category. Interesting that Nico de Boinville wanted Nikki Henderson to run her in the Supreme. He thought she was good enough to run in the Supreme. But like I say, I think the race is more competitive than her price suggests at 6-4. The horse I wanted to be with got pulled out earlier in the week, Night and Day, which was unfortunate. She was thrown in first time for William Mullins in a Grade 1 at Fairyhouse. She bombed out completely, but was very impressive in a quick time at Clonmel, but had a setback, unfortunately. So off the subs bench here for me would be Ashrow Diamond. I've liked a lot since she won at Naas. Again, impressing on the clock that day. Travelled really, really well in the Royal Bond. Looked like she was going to hack up, but she was just too keen in the early part of that race. You know, had a nice confidence booster at Ferryhouse on a most recent start. I think the stronger pace will help her settle, because the one downfall to her is that she can't over-race. She can be a little bit keen in the early part, but with a stronger pace, I think that can help her settle, and hopefully she'll get home and might prove good enough.
Yeah, some interesting calls. I think Lucia could be a bit special, but again, 13-8 is just a little bit short. A horse I really like for Gordon Elliott, and I've liked all seasons, Halka du Tabert, who was beaten by Ashrow Diamond, but I think she could get a lot closer going left-handed. She led that race. It wasn't a great pace. I think she'll like a quicker pace, which I think will undoubtedly get here. And it always I think she's coming from the back. I always think the horse, like Tell Me Something Girl was a good example of this. A horse coming from the back of the field, it always seems to suit in this type of race with a big field. I just think Halka du Tabert each way about 14s is quite an interesting play. So we'll go around the panel. Callum?
Magical Zoe.
Magical Zoe. Craig?
Ashrow Diamond.
Ashrow Diamond. Mark?
Lots of joy.
Lots of joy. And I'm going to go for Halka du Tabert.